I just wanted to check in with you about particularly MLA style. Some of you seem to still be struggling a little bit, and I thought I would write this little document for you and put some hyperlinks into the Purdue Writing Lab for those of you who aren't really sure about what the rules are that govern um, MLA style. But one thing that I wanted to say to all of you is that we're not just being picky, all your instructors, to be annoying, but rather there are very good reasons for you to learn how to do different styles, in this case, MLA style. There are differences between MLA and APA style. Um, One major difference between our two different ways of, and by the way, APA and MLA are the two uh, most often used citation practices in the American university. And so in APA style, time is really important. So dates are really important. And you can see that by the dates being right up front, right? That's the first part. After the person's name comes the date. Um, that is not as important in MLA style for a variety of reasons. Um, uh, our disciplines, well, for one thing, we have Shakespeare. Doesn't matter. We have this strange, quirky belief in Modern Languages Association, and that's what MLA stands for, that there are certain works that sort of transcend time. APA is more of a social science research tool, and as such, the common shared discourse or idea is that um, theories are supposed to develop and change over time, and that's certainly true in MLA style too. But it's more in MLA style. We look more at the author themselves and the body of work that they produced, which is often very time based, right? So, for example, the person we read for the film module in this course, Ogeron, you might think, okay, what else has this person written? And we tend to think of the person, not the research necessarily. Whereas in APA, I think that the emphasis is more on coming up with new research and new methods and the newest data that can be assembled. And that's why there's a date difference. I don't know if I'm describing it very well. But at any rate, that is the big major difference between the two. Some of you are mixing APA and MLA, and I just wanted to point that out. There's a specific place for the date in MLA style, and it's towards the end, and in APA, it's towards the beginning. So that's one of the big differences. Um, and that's also true for in-text citations and all sorts of things. So there really is a different style. And that's why I wrote this little document. Why are professors so picky about formatting? Well, one reason, from a professor's point of view, that we like the things to be uniform is because it cuts way down on time, right? You know exactly what the student is trying to tell you right away. You don't have to guess. And also, um, there's specific rules governing what the body of the paper should look like, and there's reasons for that as well. And in MLA style, you basically have 1 inch margins all the way around, right? And so, and that's because you don't want the text to be narrow columns or something like that. There's a specific way that text is supposed to appear on the page. And by the way, in MLA style, the entire paper is double spaced, period. That's it. There's no breaks between paragraphs and things like that. I don't know what style that comes from, but it's not MLA. So it cuts down on the time it takes to read. However, and I have this little red paragraph in here, it also serves a very important purpose for students because when you're learning these various different styles, you're learning to pay attention to important details that are specific to the audience you're writing for. And that's really important when you get into the working world, because in your own uh, business or wherever you end up writing, and you will write in any business, right? Um, you so when you get into that particular field, there will also be rules and discourse governing the way that you communicate with other people. And one of the ways that you get promoted is by paying attention to those details, being able to produce professional, polished work. And so, in other words, you're practicing right now, paying attention to these different details for different instructors. And, it's like anything else. You have to practice weightlifting, you have to practice running to run a marathon. And to be successful in the professional world, you need to practice getting these kinds of details down and understanding the purpose of them, right? So, there are some very basic things, and this is where I've put your hyperlinks in here to the AL Produce. So, the general format of MLA. They have a whole page here. They tell you type your paper, print it out standard 8 by 11 paper. Literally, they're telling you all the guidelines, right? So Times New Roman, whatever font you choose, it should be 12 point, right? It should be a regular, so no curly cues. It should be something like Times New Roman, Arial, something that, you know, is very standard, is what you're looking for. You leave only one space. I mean, they have, after punctuation, they have all these little rules, right? And then formatting your paper, right? You do not make a title page unless it is specifically requested. Save a tree, don't make a title page. It's not necessary in MLA, and in fact, it's not wanted, so don't do it. Then it shows you the exact specifics of what your paper should look like. I don't know why this is so blurry. Maybe there's a way that we can zoom in and look at it a little better. Yeah, it's kind of blurry, and maybe they did that because they don't want people copying it or something. I don't know. But you notice here's the page number. Here's the person's name. Here's the title of the paper, right? And this is what the paper should look like. Notice there's no break between paragraphs. See, there's 3 paragraphs on this page, and there's an indent of each for 5 spaces. So these kinds of things are really important, okay? You should have a title for your paper, and it should be about your paper. It should not be something like final project. That doesn't say anything about the topic of your paper. And a good paper should always discuss in the title what the paper's about, right? Okay, so getting back to our document, I basically have, for those of you who don't know how to get there, Al Purdue is a world famous writing site. They've done a great job and invested a lot of money in creating this online resource that everybody uses. It's fabulous. We have a link here for in-text citations. That's like in the body of your paper, and you have parentheses, and you put in a citation, and it tells you, what do you do? How do you do that? What do they look like, right? And this is the standard MLA in-text citation, author's last name, no punctuation, space, page number, right? So you don't put a comma here, you don't put anything, it's just author's last name, space, page number. So that's the standard in-text, but this goes into every detail you could ever hope or want to have about that. And then there's also works cited. That's the page at the end that you've worked on in this annotated bibliography. Annotated bibliography is just the name for the format of any bibliography, works cited, or it could be APA, it could be any bibliography. And what you're doing is annotating it and telling me why you're using it in your paper, right? But the citations themselves should look like the citations in a works cited page, and they give you the basic rules, why that's important, right? So here's the author's last name. We always start with the author's last name, by the way. And then, go on with here you can see by the italics, this is a book, right? It's got to be because there's no um, quotation marks. Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, but if it were um, an article in a book, you would have quotation marks around the chapter, whatever it is. Design as something, and then you would have the title of the book, right? So that's how that works. And you can look through this on your own. But I wanted to give everybody some feedback and say good job on the annotated bibliographies. I'm getting a better sense of what you're going to be writing about, and I hope you are too. It's one thing to have something that you're interested in and want to write about. It's another thing to see what scholars are saying about your topic. And sometimes that can be difficult, because they have great ideas. They're scholars. They've been working for many years. And you may feel like, well, I don't know what to say about this scholar, but you can also put scholars in conversation with each other. One scholar says this, another says this, and I think this. Yeah, so at any rate, have fun writing your papers, and I'm always there if you need some help along the way, and have a good day.